Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. And welcome to our friends online. We're glad that you're joining us this morning. That was a beautiful song. Here in the chapel, we listened to One Family by Sam Garrett. So I invite you to join me in our opening prayer. As we come together this beautiful winter solstice morning, the still point where darkness yields to returning light, we open our hearts to the quantum field of possibility, knowing that every intention, every breath, every word spoken, every thought, every act of awareness ripples outward into creation. As we welcome the message Reverend Jerry brings today, may we allow its wisdom to resonate through us, mind, body, and soul. We affirm that we are co-creators in a universe alive with intelligence. Our faith is not passive, but vibrational and ever expanding. In this moment, let us align with the highest truth available to us. And so it is. I'd like to welcome Reverend Jerry.
Good morning. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Thank you to our friends online for joining us here today as well. We're having a little bit of technical difficulty today, so interesting that shows up. And I personally have faith that our technology is going to get us through the day. And coincidentally, our conversation, this talk this morning, is about quantum faith. So let's get into it. As we stand here today on the threshold of a new year, we do so at a time that humanity has honored for millennia, the solstice. And the solstice marks a moment where the light appears to have come to its very, very darkest moment. And yet, paradoxically, it's the moment where we all know, we all have faith that the days will grow longer. And long before modern calendars and digital clocks, our ancestors gathered for this turning point with faith. Faith that the sun would return, faith that the warmth would come back, and faith that life would renew itself when the world looked dark. The solstice celebration at its core, I think, is a declaration of faith. It's a belief in something that's not yet visible. It's a trust in a return that hasn't yet fully arrived. And it's hope that's rooted not in proof, but in knowing. And so, as we enter a new year, a season of intention, of renewal, and possibility, today's message is offered as support for the year ahead, a framework for the manifestation that we want to bring forward, a way of focusing intention without gripping it, a practice of bringing light, goodness, and alignment into our world without collapsing that into a fear or into doubt. So what I'm sharing today is meant to equip us, not just to dream, but to trust, not just to act. Not just to hope, but to act. And not just to envision light, but to participate in its return. So let me begin with something to consider. Let's imagine, for example, we're manifesting something, and let's put something on it. We're going to call it a drop of water for this moment. We're manifesting a drop of water. And a drop of water can exist in multiple states, right? It can exist in the form of a liquid. It can exist in the form of a solid. It can exist in the form of a gas. There's a reason for that. Stay with me. So let's say that this drop of water happens to be in India right now. How would this water come to you? It's yours. It's magnetically attracted to you. It belongs to you already. How would that come to you? Through the most simple, graceful, elegant fashion, wouldn't it? It might evaporate and then become part of a cloud and travel across the world, across continents and oceans in the form of a cloud. And then miraculously, it might fall out of the sky and drop right on you. There's your manifestation with ease and with grace. Now let's take a contrasting example. A grain of sand in that same place across the world in India. How would that grain of sand get to us? Well, the grain of sand only exists in one state. It is, after all, just a grain of sand, right? So how would it come to us? Well, probably have to first stick to someone's shoe, and then land on a sidewalk somewhere, and then someone else's shoe, and then a train or a plane or a boat, ending up in some other country somewhere, all along the way, making stop after stop after stop. And perhaps eventually that grain of sand might make its way to you, but only under force. And it's going to take a long, long time. So water moves around obstacles. And in this case, this example, sand will collide, and water finds pathways. And here again, by contrast, sand depends on force. And this is why I begin here today, because in this example, that molecule of water or that grain of sand represents those things that we wish to manifest, those things that we want to bring into our lives, no matter how near or how far they might be. They represent the hope, the healing. They represent the opportunity and the clarity, the calling. And the question we're really asking this morning is this: are we allowing our intentions to move like water, or are we demanding that they travel like sand? And what's fascinating to me is this doesn't just come as something poetic, or is not just a metaphor, okay? Because this kind is coming to me through something that we see naturally reflected in the world, through quantum physics. And in physics, there's a way of describing these behaviors. One is called the wave behavior, and the other is particle behavior. A wave is adaptive. It moves around obstacles. It interferes with itself even, and it spreads, finding a way. A particle is fixed in space. It moves in straight lines. It collides, and it stops when it's met with resistance. And here's the part that matters for us today. In quantum physics, the very same thing, like a photon of light, or a prayer perhaps in this case, can behave either as a wave or a particle. And the difference isn't what the thing is. The difference is how it's observed. When it's not being watched, when it's not being measured, the possibilities are endless. And a light photon or a prayer will behave like a wave, full of possibility, movement, and reach. But the moment that we observe it, the moment we try to pin it down, it collapses into a particle and behaves like a three-dimensional object that stops when it hits something or meets resistance. Suddenly it's localized, suddenly it's fixed, it's limited. And this is where quantum physics really begins to whisper something profound to us. Sometimes the very act of watching too closely, or checking too often, or needing proof right now can change how something moves to us. Sometimes faith isn't about doing more. Sometimes faith is just about allowing. And so this brings us to an important question. If waves and particles behave differently, and if observation changes outcome, if letting go allows movement, well, where do we bring faith into all this? Faith at its core is not pretending. It's not ignoring reality by a long shot. And it's not sitting back hoping that something magical happens. Faith is trust in unseen processes. Faith is the willingness to believe that something meaningful is already in motion, even when we don't yet have the evidence in our hands, right? And every spiritual tradition teaches us this. We show our faith during solstice in the believing on the return of the light before the days grow longer. Faith is planting the seeds before we have evidence that the green is there. Faith is taking a step before that bridge appears, knowing that the bridge is waiting for us. And in that way, faith itself behaves very much like a wave. It moves without needing constant confirmation. It adapts. Faith flows around obstacles. Now, here's where many of us struggle, though, especially when we're trying to manifest. when we're trying to bring something meaningful into our lives, we set an intention and then we watch it. We want to know all about it, right? We check on it. We measure it. How tall is it? How wide is it? We might even look for signs that we never see. And we ask ourselves things like, is it working yet? Did I do that right? Why isn't it here already? And without realizing it, we take something that wants badly to find its way to us and we paralyze it. We pin it down and we collapse it. And quantum physics gives us a surprising mirror here. In the quantum world, when something is observed constantly, it actually stops behaving like a wave. It becomes a particle. It becomes fixed and localized and limited. And spiritually, the same thing happens. And so faith invites us to release the need to monitor this, to stop gripping the outcome, to trust that once the intention is set with clarity, with integrity, something intelligent is already responding. And that's why faith is not passive. Faith says, I've done my part. Faith says, I know what I'm calling in. Faith says, I will walk toward this because it is already here. Faith isn't about forgetting what we want and leaving it behind. It's about remembering who we are. We are participants in this active, living universe. We're not separate from the flow, we're in it. And when faith is present, intention moves like water. But when faith collapses into doubt, intention begins to move like sand. So the invitation here is simple, but it's profound. Set the intention, and this is a recipe that we all know, that we've all heard. And for me, it's getting really, really sticky. We set the intention. We feel that gratitude, and we align what's most important, our actions, right? And then we have the courage to trust. Because faith doesn't force outcomes, it makes room for them. And here's where it really starts getting interesting. Because once we understand that faith isn't passive, once we see that faith changes how intention moves, we can begin to talk about it in a way that's surprisingly practical. So I like to think about this next part as metaphysical mathematics, okay? Now, everybody, right in front of your chairs, there's a little notebook and a pencil. I want you to start taking notes. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. There's no test. Sorry. There's no test. But this to me is very noteworthy. So, metaphysical mathematics, okay? Here we go. In this math, action is a plus and faith is a multiplier, okay? And whatever intention it is that you're holding, whether it's healing or clarity, opportunity you're calling or inviting in, faith doesn't just add to it, okay? Faith is a multiplier. Addition is what our actions do. So, the greater the faith, the greater the multiplier. And a strong faith can bring things that we never imagined. A strong faith can increase the magnitude of that which comes to us. It can decrease the amount of time that it takes to bring that manifestation. And it can even open pathways that we'd never considered before. So I like to think about it like this. Yes, we can bring in things all on our own. We don't have to have faith, right? That's the additive principle of the way that this law works. If I just start as a 1, it's just me, I have no faith, but I work really, really hard. Sure, yeah, I can score an 8 on that, that magnetism scale for the law of attraction or whatnot, and I can live a pretty good life solo. But if we add faith as a multiplier, what happens, right? Some of us already know. Yeah, there's a few of us in this room already. I recognize several of you who just know that everything is going to be all right. These are the faithful. And guess what? They're almost always right, aren't they? Even with a minimal effort, people who are filled with faith start their day at a 10 or a 20. just because they woke up. Now, here's the key insight. In mathematics, let me pop this one out real quick. In mathematics, in multiplication, what happens when you multiply a number by 0? Your result is what? 0, right? And in this framework, doubt is that 0. Not hesitation, not rest, not taking a day off. Those things are okay. Doubt is the 0. Doubt, disbelief, and defeat. And when we lose faith, when we decide the universe is working against us, when we question our own worthiness, when we abandon trust altogether, we don't just slow the process, we collapse it. So now let's look at another piece of that equation, the addition, right? Action. Action's not a multiplier, it is additive. And every aligned step that we take, every conversation, every act of integrity, every moment that we show up as the person that we believe ourselves to be adds to that equation. Some days we add a lot. Some days, not so much. Some days we add a 0. But that's okay, because 0 doesn't cancel the multiplier. Only doubt does that. And so this becomes a compassionate, empowering mathematical equation then, doesn't it? Faith multiplies, action adds. Rest is neutral, and only doubt collapses that equation. And when we understand this all together, we stop pushing ourselves, we stop punishing ourselves for these pauses that we take in life, and we start protecting our faith. We start really protecting our faith, removing our barriers. So as we come to the close of this message, I want to bring us back. I want to bring us back once more to the solstice. Because the solstice has never been really, in my mind, about light breaking the darkness or good defeating evil. It's about faith. It's about faith that the turning has already begun. It's about the faith that even when we can't see it, something life-giving is already on its way. Our ancestors understood this. They didn't wait around for the proof. They gathered, they lit candles, they sang, they danced, and they celebrated in knowing. Not because the light was already strong, but because they trusted that it was coming. And that same faith is available to us now. And the solstice offers us a good base, a foundation, a reminder that the faith does not begin when results appear. It begins before. It's a necessary ingredient. And as we step into the days and weeks ahead, my invitation, actually, we're going to call it a challenge. My challenge is this. Notice your direction. Notice where your attention flows. We've spoken a lot about energy following attention. And notice where you're gripping and where you might soften that grip. And ask yourself, am I allowing my intentions to move like water? Or am I demanding they travel like sand? Protect your faith and let it grow. Let it become a powerful multiplier in your life. And remember that each of us is unique, every single one of us worthy. Each of us carries a particular light that this universe needs. Your desires are not accidents, and your hopes are not mistakes. And your presence here matters. So walk forward with awareness. Take the steps that feel aligned, and rest when you need rest. And trust that what's meant for you knows how to find you. Get out of the way. May the blessings of Yule be upon you. May the returning light strengthen your faith. And may the days ahead bring clarity and warmth and renewal. And may you move into this world knowing deep in your bones, that you're supported, that you're guided and deeply, deeply deserving of good. And so it is. We'll move into a brief meditation together. So let us start by just kind of settling in. If it feels comfortable, you can gently close your eyes and allow your body to soften. Let your shoulders drop and your jaws unclench. And take a slow, deep breath in through your nose and release it gently through your mouth. And again. And now imagine yourself standing at the edge of night. This is the longest night of the year. The darkness is quiet and still. It's not threatening, just vast. There's nothing for us to fix here, nothing for us to push away. Just simply notice the darkness and breathe. This darkness represents the places in your life where answers have not yet arrived. The places where outcomes are still forming. The places where faith is being asked to stand. And now, without effort and without force, notice a soft glow on the horizon. Subtle at first and barely perceptible, but it's there. It's real. This is the solstice moment, the turning. We take another breath. And with each inhale and exhale, feel that light growing just a little stronger. Not rushing, not demanding attention, just rising. You do not make the light appear. You do not control it. You trust it. And let this light remind you of something ancient and true. The return has already begun. Even when you couldn't see it. Even when the night feels long. Even when doubt whispered. The light has always been on its way. Because it is within us. Now imagine that light moving closer and warming your face, touching your chest. And let's let it settle there, right at your heart. This light is faith. Not blind faith. Grounded faith. Faith in action. Faith that knows what is meant for you and knows how to find you. Faith that unseen processes are already at work. And that we do not need to grip life to be held by it. As you breathe silently, say to yourself, I trust the turning. I trust the process. I trust the return of light. Feel how your body responds when trust replaces tension. Notice how ease begins to replace effort. We are not late. We are not behind. We are not forgotten. We are standing in a sacred moment of becoming. And now imagine the light fully cresting the horizon and the day has begun to lengthen. The direction of things shift. And let this moment seal a quiet intention within to move forward with faith, to take action when guided, to rest when needed, and to release the need for constant proof. We'll take one final deep breath together. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes, carrying this light with you into the days and weeks and years ahead. And so it is. We'll move into the offering portion of our program today. As we prepare our offerings to the home center, let's hold it in our hands and charge it up with the energy of alignment, generosity, and sacred intention. We know that we're a part of the greater circulation of good and that our gifts will multiply for the highest healing, growth, and service to us and our community. As the basket is coming around, please fill it with your blessings, and we thank you for your generosity and for continuing to support our good works. And so it is. I'll invite Reverend Jen up for announcements.
And for our friends online, we also have PayPal if you're wanting to give. So as the basket goes around, just a couple of announcements. We wanted to include our friends online. We have our very special Christmas Eve blessing ceremony on Wednesday. And so it's 7:00. So it's a really lovely evening. We'll have a blessing. You'll be anointed with frankincense and myrrh, and then you'll get a vial of gold as well, and a hug from Mother Mary. And it's just a really fun time. We'll have some snacks and sing carols, and it's just a really, really special evening. And then the next Wednesday is New Year's Eve. And so we're feeling that excitement coming up. We're going to do a burn. So we'll be doing a release, and then we'll be doing something else. It's special. It's a surprise. It may be leaked out soon, but it's a surprise. And so you'll
She looks at me when she says leaked out.
we just had to talk about it this morning, but then you'll get to take something home with you. So please, please come and spend the evening with us, and you'll still have time to go out if you go out and party. If any of those young people do that, so I don't know. I'm too old for it. Yeah, I'm too old for it. All right. So we'll just close this morning in prayer. I invite you to join me. May we carry with us the solstice blessing of renewal, that quiet promise that the light always returns within us and around us. May we anchor the insights that were shared this morning, allowing them to settle into our consciousness like seeds ready to awaken. Let faith be our multiplier, magnifying every intention, every act of love, every step forward. Let us trust that all that is for our highest good is already unfolding in perfect timing. May we move through our days as luminous beings, remembering the divine spark that each of us carry. Amen. And to our friends online, we're glad that you joined us. We'll see you next time from our heart to yours. And then I'll invite Reverend Madge up for